Okay, time for my next conundrum. I was working on putting the deck beams in here over the engine room, which is going to be the pilot house sole, what we're thinking. I laminated in, you can see it here, I laminated in a 1/2 inch piece to bring this flush so I could put this 2x6 in here, which is gonna, the sole's gonna sit on. You need a flat sole, of course. Okay, then there's 3 in the middle here that are gonna form the sole supports, these deck beams / sole supports. What I did here on the ends was I cut those out to match the contour of the curvature, so the water will run off. There's like 1.5 inches or 1.75 inches, whatever that was. Cut off the edge of those beams so they're at an angle now. And then the pilot house is going to sit where you see the corner meets right there and then comes straight across. The pilot house sits in there. Okay, then I can do the same thing back here. Got this 2x6 in, and there's a step down from the deck level back here to what the pilot house deck level is. And there was always going to be that. It's not going to be as much as what maybe it was at one time, because I raised the raised shear part here up a little bit. But anyway, there's still going to be a step here, and as you can see the way they're sitting now, this 2x6 here would form the sole support, and then there would be whatever step you got there, height difference. But, and the reason I did it that way was to get it level between these two. So you have a level floor in your pilot house, you know, so your floor is level in the pilot house. And that's where I've got it pretty much sitting now. That means I'd have to raise all these deck beams here up, excuse me, / sole supports. I'd have to raise them all the way up here to make that work. That's pretty big rise. Now, of course, the way George had it designed, he had the shear, the raised shear part dropped lower down to the shear here. And I'm raising it up like he said. So don't have as big a step here. So the problem is, if I try to bring these up even more, it's going to throw my shear line out of whack. You know, if you look at the shear line, we've got kind of a sweeping shear from, you know, the middle of the boat all the way up to the bow. And then it would reach this point. And if we bring that up, it's going to have a weird bow in it in here. Where if we bring it down where it should be, you see that's a nice, smooth, flowing curve all the way from the bow back to that raised portion of the aft deck. So I was going to raise all these up a little bit. Thought, yeah, that'll give me a little more headroom in the engine room, and not quite as big a step back here, so it'd be easier to, wouldn't have to put an extra step in back there, which I probably won't anyway, but anyway. But that's going to make my shear line look really odd, I'm afraid. So I don't think I can do that. But the problem is, this is the way George had the plans drawn, for the pilot house to be sitting lower in the aft than it was in the front. Why would that be? You'd think you'd want the pilot house floor more or less level. I mean, the boat is sitting the way it should float on its lines. And according to the plans, which are drawn, you know, for the boat to be sitting on its lines, the aft part of the pilot house is lower. Now, I could compensate for that by raising the sole in the pilot house a little bit, which is what I might have to do, because the way that 2x6 is back there, you know, underneath that piece underneath the levels there, I've got it raised up now so that it would be a level floor in here in the pilot house up to this one. But I don't think that's going to work. That's going to look, I mean, it would work, but it's going to look odd. And then I'd have to somehow raise my frames up even a little higher there. which I could set my beams on top of those frames, which would work, because there's going to be 4x6s in here, these 3 here. But I don't think I'm going to be able to do that. I think I'm going to have to lower that board back there, back down, so it's in line with the rest of these in the middle here, and just go with it. And then I'll have to, if I want to level the floor inside the pilot house, make it perfectly level, I'll just have to do that later on. You know, when I'm building the pilot house, build the floor up a little bit in the back, and yeah, I don't know why it is that way, but that's the way he shows. He shows on his plans. He shows the pilot house. And there's the plans down there. I'm pretty sure you can't see them from here, but he shows the pilot house floor being at that angle, the sole of the pilot house being at that angle. So I don't know. I just don't think I can level it here in the boat right now with these deck beams. It's going to make my shear line look funny. So I think this 2x4 back here is going to get lowered again. Going to get lowered back down to match these. That's going to reduce my headroom in the engine room a little bit again, but oh well. Because actually what I was thinking about doing in the engine room here, my latest iteration of how I was going to do the interior, I was going to put, kind of like I got this walkway through here now, I was going to put a door into the engine room from here. And then I thought, why not just go ahead and put another door? Now, there's going to be a step down. The sole in the engine room isn't going to be this high. It's going to be down there lower, but so you'll have to step down in here. Then another hatch back here, which is actually going to be the bathroom. And there's going to be room for a door here, or a hatch here, because the shower is going to be over here. I want the shower built over here to support the deck stepped mast, and then a toilet and a sink over here in this area. So there's room for a hatch here, so that you could get into the aft cabin or vice versa through the engine room if you want to. So if you're at rest, not running the engine, that would be the easy way to do it. I'll still put a regular companionway steps or stairs over here, but I think that's what I'm going to do over here anyway. So it would have been nice having that little bit of extra headroom here. Even as it is now though, because this would be pretty much the height, this one here would be the height that we're at. So if I put the sole down here like this, it almost gives me standing headroom. There's about 6 feet, 5'11" maybe, easily 5'11" of headroom from where I'm standing now, which is probably pretty close to where the sole in the engine room would be, or will be. But anyway, those are the conundrums and decisions that I've been coming up with. Today is February, oh goodness, 2nd. Today is February 2nd, and I got some more tools in. I got a cordless, a 20-volt chop saw, little chop saw. I got a sander, 5-inch random orbital sander. And what else? Oh, jigsaw. I got a jigsaw. I've been wanting a jigsaw for quite a while. Nobody's had them in stock, so I finally ordered it online. But I'm getting a little bit of a work area put together in the boat up here, so I'm not constantly running up and down for tools whenever I'm doing something in here, which is, of course, what usually happens. Then I got a couple of these little workbenches, one here, and then I got one in the aft cabin. But yeah, it just makes it easier. And on a boat, man, it just doesn't work dragging cords around everywhere. It's not a good situation pulling cords, and then they're always hanging in the wrong spot. You're tripping on them, and you gotta run them through between frames or over up and above and through openings, and they're never in the right spot, and they aren't long enough. They're getting caught on things. Yeah. So just going everything cordless, and I've got most of these tools in corded versions too. But you know what? When I'm got the boat out in the water, it's going to be nice to have a good selection of cordless tools too. Because on a boat, it just, I don't know, cords just, they're tough. Yeah, it's tough going with cords. And I even brought a little charger up here, so I got a charging station up here too. Otherwise, I think you've seen, I couldn't find a cordless glue gun. Yeah, I could, but DeWalt doesn't seem to make one, so I don't know why. That would have been really handy, but anyway. So I bought a corded one. I've got an old glue gun, a couple of them, well, several of them actually, but my God, they take like 20 minutes to heat up. This one heats up in 60 seconds, it's ready to go. That's amazing. So much handier. Decide you want to glue something together and you got to wait 20 minutes for it to glue gun to warm up. But that's where we are today. I think the positioning of this one is where it should be, where it needs to be. And the sole's just going to have to, oh, I'm not going to be able to do this, am I? I can't quite get that 8-footer in between there, but yeah, that's what's going to happen. So, and we'll see what it's like when I get around to building the pilot house. All right, that will be an update for the 2nd of February.